Welcome everyone to the GameSalad Meetup, our monthly meetup, learning about GameSalad and various interesting talks. My name is Alan Uthoff. I'm the lead developer and the host and organizer of this meetup. Today we have fantastic Braydon, one of our GameSalad forum users, is going to be presenting, and he'll be talking about time-based rewards. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to him. Go take it away, Braydon.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan. And just to confirm, you guys can still see my screen?
Yep.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, thank you guys for attending, whether you're in the office or online. I've been trying to find a date that's worked for me to present for a long time, and so I'm happy that the first meetup of 2016 worked for me. And the topic for this evening is time-based reward systems, and this is something that is something cool that we can implement as developers in our games in order to get people back into our apps on a regular basis and increase retention. And while this is one of the ways that we can do it, there are several other ways. But this is something that I find that keeps me coming back to games. And so whether that's reward systems for playing for a certain amount of time or maybe for logging in each day. And so that's just something that I've always found fun. And so I've wanted to talk about this for a while now, especially since now that we've gotten the network behaviors inside of GameSalad. And so we've always been able to create time-based systems in GameSalad, but without the network behaviors, people can cheat the system by going into their settings on their device and changing the time. And that's just pesky, and it's kind of been a bummer for a while now. But now that we have the network behaviors, we don't have to worry about that anymore. And so I'm going to be talking about how to talk to servers using the Appformitive system. It's a free system for the GameSalad users, and it's really, really great and makes it super easy for us to go ahead and create these systems. So I'm just going to go ahead and refer you to the file that I posted on the forums. If you go to the GameSalad forums on the Meetup thread, I posted the file that we're going to be working off of today. And so go ahead and make sure that you download that in case you wanted to follow along with the presentation. And really quick, I'll just go ahead and demonstrate what we will be creating today. This is the finished file that we're going to end up with. And so I'll go ahead and preview, click the preview button, and it brings us to this page here. And you can see we have 5 coins, and it just changed to 6. For this demo, I'm awarding the player 1 coin every 5 seconds. And you can see it start to tick up and everything like that. And then I just put some art together, and I've created a little in-game store just so you can see how this works. You can buy different things here in the store, and so if I click this button, it'll spend 2 coins, and so it works as expected. But if I go ahead and click the refresh button, you'll see it saves the information, and we still have 9 coins. Or 10 coins now in this case. So that's what we're going to be creating today. I'm really excited, so let me go ahead and push this to the side. And here we are on the demo file that I posted in the thread. So a couple of things to note. This project file that you downloaded already has the multiplayer option turned on. And it already has the necessary information or logic coded in that Appformitive requires. In order to talk to the server. So if you're familiar with appformitive.com, there's a little basic setup page here. And if you go under implementation, it's the first one right here. It's the basics. And it literally takes less than 5 minutes to set up, but pretty much it just walks you through creating an app and the necessary logic that you need to create in GameSalad in order to talk to the server. So if you're not familiar with this, go ahead and read through this on your own time and become familiar with it, because I won't be necessarily going into all of that in this presentation. I assume that you are a little bit familiar with it. Also, if you haven't seen Armeline's video tutorial, it's pretty good as well. He did a video a couple weeks back on setting up the system and creating messages through the system. So it's really cool. If you haven't seen that, you may want to check that out as well if you're not familiar with the system. So there we go. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and start. So on appformative.com, you need to go ahead and create an account if you haven't already, and go ahead and log in. And what we're going to do is create a new app on the website by clicking the Define New App button. And you can go ahead and enter your app name. Since this is just a demo, I'm just going to type in demo or demo1 or something like that. And you can add a description if you want, though that's not really necessary. And when you're done, go ahead and click Save. Alright, so what that's going to do is it's going to create the app on the online system here, and it's going to generate a unique app ID, which we're going to need here. So I'm going to click this little button here. Oh, it's not letting me pop up that window. Let me go ahead and just select the app ID and copy it. And then we're going to go back into GameSalad, and in the game attributes section, let me go ahead and load this in. On the third attribute here, the get status URL, we need to double click the value here. These are just values so that the way the project knows where to look for the information. And so once it's selected, hit the right arrow key and then go ahead and paste in your app ID inside of that attribute. And so actually, you know what, it should look like something like this. ID equals, and then your string of integers there. So that's what we need to do inside of this attribute only. And then go into the table, the analytics table, which again, if you're familiar with, all it does is just create a unique user ID. So what we need to do is paste the app ID in the header of row 1, column 1, and just click enter. All right. And now just to make sure that we've done this correctly before moving on, inside of the project, I've created an actor here that displays how many seconds has passed since the app was opened for the first time. And this is also part of the extended setup on Appformitive. And so I've just included in this file everything that we need in order to get the reward system. In the extended setup, there's also things that you can set up for triggers or for messaging and things like that. But this is part of the extended setup, and it just records how many seconds have passed since the user has first opened the app. So I've just created this really quickly so that way we can go into the main game scene and drag the actor onto the scene. I'll just go ahead and put it at the top here. Alright, and then I'm going to click home, and then I'm going to preview, and we should get a value of 0 because we haven't had the game open for very long. So we've successfully connected to the server, and just for confirmation, if I go back to the Appformitive page and click refresh, you should see that our data point is now 1. We get 25,000 data points per app for free, which is pretty nice. And so we have successfully connected to the server. Alright, so now we need to go into our scene. And this first scene, the start scene, actually all it does is it connects to the server and it gets all the information that we need in order to create our app ID, and it just looks to the server for the current time. And so inside of this scene is where our server connection is going on. And so we're going to go ahead and just create a new game attribute, and it needs to be a real attribute. And we're going to call it session start timer, and we're going to leave it set to 0. Now back into the actors tab in the inspector, I'm going to go into the AF start actor. This is where the main logic is, where we connect to the server. I'm just going to drag a change attribute to the top of the logic stack, and we're just going to change the new attribute we created, session start timer, to game.time. So it's just going to record the value in the game.time attribute so we can refer to it later on. Okay? And I'm just going to make sure we go ahead and save. And now I'm going to go ahead and create a new table. So I'm going to hit the home button and go to the tables tab. And the analytics table is used to create our user ID, but also our app ID goes in there. But since we're creating a reward system, and for this demo, I'm just going to be doing coins. You can do it whatever you want, whether that's power-ups or something like that. But we want a table to hold all that information. So I'm going to create a new table, and I'm going to call it T coins. And I'm going to double-click the table, and I'm going to add 4 columns. And each of these columns needs to be of integer type. And just for to make it easier to refer to these columns later, because we will be coming back to them, I'm going to go ahead and name them. So column 1, I'm going to call starting coins. Column 2, I'm going to call coins gained. And column 3, coins spent. And finally, column 4, coins bought. There we go. And so actually, you know what? In this first column, I'm going to add a value of 5 because I want to give the player 5 coins when they start the game. So if you're trying to implement this system into your app or your game, and you have some kind of in-game store, or maybe you have power-ups, and the power-ups cost a certain amount of money or in-game currency, so you want to give the player an initial amount to start out with, which is what this column is for. Okay. All right, next, go back into the game scene, and I'm going to create a new actor, and I'm going to call this actor coins logic. This actor is pretty much just going to be the main actor that does all of our calculations, and so I'm going to go ahead and double click, and I'm going to apply a quick color just so we can refer to it easier. All right, next I'm going to create 2 self-real attributes. They both need to be real. The first one I'm going to call total seconds, and the second one I'm going to call coins, and they can both be set to the value of 0 initially. All right, so here we go. This is where we're going to start our calculations. I'm going to scroll to the bottom of the behavior library and drag in the timer behavior, and we're going to want to set this to every 2 seconds to reevaluate and redo everything that's inside of the timer here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to drag the change attribute into the timer here, and we're going to change self.totalSeconds to, and we're going to open up the expression editor by clicking the little E button. We're going to change it to game seconds after launch plus open parenthesis game.time minus game.session start timer. So what this is doing is it's just calculating how long it's been in this self attribute, and then we're going to use that in the coins self attribute next. So drag another change attribute into the timer, and we're going to change coins logic or self.coins to open the function tab here and locate the floor function. You can also type it in if you want. So we're going to change it to floor self total seconds divided by 5, close parenthesis. Make sure you have an open and close. And what this is doing is essentially it's going to give us 1 coin every 5 seconds. And then what we need to do is actually grab this value and write it to our coins table that we made just a minute ago. So I'm going to grab the change table value behavior and drag it into the timer. And for the table, of course, it's going to be the game.coins table. For the row, it's going to be 1 because we only have 1 row in that table. The column is going to be 2, and I'm going to enter that and then go back to the coins table so you can see that we're writing to this column right here, which is how many coins we've gained, or how many coins we've been awarded is another way to put it. And so we're going to write how much in this cell here. So going back to our actor, we have it set up for row 1, column 2, and the value is going to be self.coins. There we go. And now we want to make sure that we save the table, especially after we award the player some coins, just in case they exit out of the game or something like that. It's always important to save the table after we've changed it. And so we're going to go ahead and save the table. All right, so that's actually our main calculation. It's super simple as far as the logic goes. It's actually very slim. There's not a whole lot of beef here that we need to go through or add. And it's just really easy with the Appformitive system, and it's a great use, great thing to be put to use. So now that we have our main calculation done, we want to display the coins that we have on the scene. So I'm going to go ahead and click the back button. And I'm going to create a new actor, and I'm going to call it coins display. And I'm going to open it up, and We're going to drag the display text behavior into the logic stack, and we're going to create, I think, about 4 table cell value functions into the expression editor here. And what we're going to do is just add up all of the columns in the table. And we're going to subtract one of them here. So for the first function, for the table, make sure you put in the coins table that we created, row 1, column 1. And outside of that last close parenthesis, put a plus. And so we're going to add that to the table cell value, or the value within row 1, column 2, minus table cell value coins, row 1, column 3, and finally table cell value. And if the expression is too long and you can't see it on the expression editor, just hit the right key on your keyboard. Coins table, row 1, column 4. And then click the green check mark to apply the expression to the behavior. And so what that's going to do is just going to take all of these and just add them up in a way that we need to in order to get the total amount of coins. The reason why we use that subtract there is in case we spend any coins, we want to add, and you'll see here in a minute that we're going to add a positive value here. And so we want to make sure that we subtract that value from the other 3 columns in order to get the appropriate number. And so now I'm going to go ahead and back out of the actor, and we're going to add our actors to the scene. And first I'll add the coins logic onto the scene and shrink it down and drag it to the side there. And we'll drag the coins display right on here. And there we go. So in order to test, remember we have to go through that first scene because that's when we're actually grabbing the information from the server. So we can't actually just preview this scene because it won't work. So I'm going to hit the home button and hit the preview button. And so after 5 seconds, we should see the coin amount go up. And we can see that it is. So we are getting the coin amount. And let me go ahead and refresh to make sure that everything is saving correctly. And it's not. And what's probably happened is I forgot to select which table to save. And so I'm going to go back into the coins logic actor. And on the so in the save table behavior, I forgot to select the coins table. So that was my bad. So just go ahead and make sure you do that. And now if we preview again, you'll see that when we refresh after we get that coin, we have that same amount. And so there we go. And also, let me just point out that at the top, we still have the actor that's displaying how many seconds have passed since we started the app in the first place. And so if I refresh again, you can see it's set to 7 right now, which means that it's been 7 seconds since this scene started. And let me go ahead and refresh. And so now it's been 27 seconds since the game initially was run. And so that's just a kind of cool thing to see. Obviously, you wouldn't want to have that in there. And the only reason why it's still in there was at the beginning of the presentation, just to make sure that we were connecting to the server. So there we go. Let me go ahead and back out a preview really quick and go back to the scene. And now what we're going to do is the main portion of the logic is complete, but I want to go ahead and show you how you might go about with in-app purchases, how you would add that to the table, or if you have an in-game store like I do here, what you would need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and save really quick, and then I'm going to create 2 new actors. The first one's going to be coins buy, and the second one's coins spend. In the coins buy actor, I'm going to create a rule that says when touch is pressed, we're going to grab the change table value and drag it into the rule. Of course, the table that we're going to be changing and writing to is the coins table. Row 1, column 4, because that's the column, the last column in the table, the one that is for how many coins we've bought. And so what we're just doing here is kind of like mocking up what you might do for an in-app purchase. So if you set up your in-app purchases and you detect that the purchase was successful, you would write to the table the value. But since I don't want to go ahead and set up all that logic, I'm just wrapping it in a touch rule here. For the value, we're going to open up the expression editor, and I'm going to click table cell value, enter that function. For the table, of course, it's going to be the coins, row 1, column 4, plus 10. And the reason why we add that table cell value function there is, of course, so that way we account for any value that was there beforehand. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and save the table and make sure that I select the coins table. And then I'll back out, and we're going to do pretty much the same thing for the other actor that we created, which was the coins spend actor right here. So I'm going to go ahead and double click that to edit it and create a rule. Now what we're going to do here, just for the sake of simplicity, is create a self attribute, and it's going to be an integer, and I'm going to name it spend amount and set it to a value of 2. And that way we could just have one actor and put it on the scene for the different objects in our store, or the different items in our store, and we can just change the self attribute instead of creating different actors for each item. And so with the rule created, let's go ahead and drag a change table value into the rule. Again, the table is going to be the coins table, row 1, column 3, and open up the expression editor, and again create that table cell value function. For the table, you're going to go down and select the coins table, row 1, column 3, because that's the cell that's keeping track of how many coins we've spent. And instead of subtracting, what you would think we would do, especially if we're buying something, because you want to subtract from that amount, we're actually going to use a plus symbol and then add in our spend amount, and then hit the green check mark. And the reason why we do that is just because in our display behavior, if you remember, we have the table cell value, and then we're adding another table cell value, and then we're subtracting the cell, the third column in that table, which is why we use that plus right here. And all right, so let me go ahead and then, can't forget to save the table. And I'll back to the scene. And we'll go ahead and drag these actors onto the screen, and then we'll be about done. We'll drag the coins buy actor right over the plus there, and then the coins spend right over this one. Now the initial value I put for this was 2, which is for this specific one. So holding Alt and dragging will duplicate the actor, and then this value is 5, so I'll just go ahead and double click, change that to 5, hit the back button, and we should be good to go. Let me go ahead and click the home button once it's done loading, and we'll test it out. Alright, so here we are. After about 5 seconds we get that new coin. If I click this button, we'll get another 10 coins. So let me go ahead and do that right now. So here we have 17. I'll refresh. We still have 17. 14 seconds have passed. The coin magnet costs 2, so if I hit that, we get 16. Another coin was just added. The shield costs 5, and you can see everything's working now, which is really cool. And we were able to do all of this with just a little bit of logic inside of just a couple of actors. And so before the presentation's over here, I just want to go back into the Coins Logic app, because for this demo, like I mentioned earlier, we're giving 1 coin to the player every 5 seconds, and I know that's probably not ideal for your app. And so, you know, you may want to change it for your game. Maybe you want to give 1 coin every 5 minutes, or 3 coins every minute, or maybe you even want to do daily rewards and give the player, you know, 10 coins every day. And so I'm just going to show you some of those calculations and what they may look like. So I'm going to just turn off the change attribute right here and actually duplicate it by holding Alt and dragging. And a lot of these are going to look the same, and we don't need to change anything on the left-hand side. We're just always going to be changing the coins attributes. But for the expression, we're going to go ahead and open it. And let's say that we wanted to give 1 coin every 5 minutes. We would change self.coins to floor, open parentheses, self total seconds divided by, and then, so remove the 5, and then open parenthesis 60 times 5, close parenthesis, and make sure that you also have another close parenthesis right there. So what this is saying is this is going to trigger after 5 minutes. There's 60 seconds in a minute, and then we're multiplying that by 5. And so this will trigger after 5 minutes, and then it'll write to the table, and we'll get 1 coin after 5 minutes. So there we go. Let me just go ahead and name this really quick. And then let's do another one. How about we do 3 coins every minute. So that would look something like this. Go ahead and while the entire expression is selected, hit the left arrow key, and that'll just bring you to the front of the expression, and we're going to do 3 times floor, open parenthesis, self total seconds, divided by 60. And that'll give us 3 coins every minute. And so you can kind of see how the pattern's going here. It's actually really easy to go ahead and edit this to the way that you want. And let's just do one more here. Let's say 10 coins every 24 hours. Oops. And so this would look something like this. We're going to change from 3 to 10, so 10 coins. Floor, open parenthesis, total seconds divided by 86,400, since there's 86,400 seconds in a day, and that'll give you 10 coins every 24 hours. So really simple to go ahead and change these values. Again, this expression right here is doing pretty much everything that we need as far as calculating how many seconds have passed. And using the Appformitive system, it's extremely easy to create all this stuff, and it's really helpful. So there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed the talk, found it insightful, and it's a really good thing to incorporate into your game.